Hi, I'm Ryan Benham from Kennewick, Washington. With the rise in energy demands, polls show increasing public support for nuclear energy, but many voters have concerns about safety and waste disposal. How do you balance these concerns with the need for clean and reliable energy?
Thanks, Ryan. That's a great question. As you know, we are the nuclear capital of the Northwest as well, and our nuclear power plant at Columbia Generating Station pretty much produces power to run the city of Seattle every day. And with that, we increase the opportunities we can have to clean environment in the energy grid to support reducing emissions and increasing the clean energy and the clean air that we have in our environments. But nuclear power does come with those concerns about safety. Safety in the waste, safety in the activation of what radioactive materials are going to be in there. And as you've seen, the newer technologies that are coming out are providing us an area where we can leverage that in the fuels that we use. So whether it's fuels going into that generation and production of the generation of energy that is reducing the radioactive materials, or even the waste that then comes out of that, are concerns. The new advanced nuclear projects that are coming out have better materials that are sourced by better people and production in our states that we can manage for our environment. We could reduce the costs and the impacts to our environment so we can extract these minerals. We can get it to a place where we can produce into these generating systems the nuclear power of the future, and then have that waste reduced to where we don't have a large contamination, not only in the production, but also storage of the disposal of this waste. And even now, some of the new technologies and solutions are showing that we can turn that waste into glass products, and we can leverage that into our other systems, whether it's glass bottles or windows, or even our automobiles of the future. So it's a great question. I'm looking forward to seeing what we can do with these emerging technologies and generating a cleaner environment for all of us.
So nuclear energy is clean, but also that reliability part is a key component. Electricity is a funny product. You need as much electricity on the grid as people are demanding at every single moment. So when I turn on my light, that means that someone has to be putting more electrons on the grid to do that balancing. And what's great about nuclear energy is it can just kind of hum along and provide what we call baseload power. There are those two components, though, those two problems. One is the safety aspect of it. And I think that the new nuclear plants have really designed safety in to a way that's very different from the older kinds. We're well beyond Chernobyl, 3 Mile Island, some of the small modular nuclear. So instead of having to pull up the control rods that would stop a nuclear chain reaction that's going on in a core, what they do is they use electricity to keep them up. And then if the electricity power goes out, if multiple systems fail, they just naturally fall down in. They're starting to talk about using salts instead of waters to transfer the heat, which is then used to spin a turbine. I think that's another great example because you're not going to burn the salts off in some ways. There's talking about different types of fuels that are much safer and that can contain a nuclear reaction. I've been very much convinced at the higher safety levels, we still don't have great answers about the waste. But every single time when I teach energy economics, I work through it with my students, and we look at, well, what are the costs of continuing to run dirty energy, where we're breathing in the particulate matter, where we're breathing in the pollutants from coal or a natural gas fired power plant, versus nuclear, which works in a lot of the same ways. It just uses a different way to heat up the water that is then used to spin a turbine that creates the electricity. And with nuclear, you don't have air quality problems. You don't have CO2 emissions. And so what we're talking about is instead the waste, and it's much easier to control waste that is smaller versus waste that we're spewing throughout our communities. So when I talk to people about nuclear, I find that generally people my age, I'm at 44 and younger, are agnostic or even pro-nuclear. But folks that are a little bit older that remember 3 Mile Island, they're a little bit more hesitant. But when we start talking about climate change and the impact of nuclear and trying to meet our climate goals with clean baseload power, people start to become a little bit more open to the topic.